What is up, everybody? Welcome to TDN Weekly episode 5, I think. We have a lot of news to cover today, so let's get started. Simon Kinberg has been confirmed to direct the next X-Men movie called X-Men Dark Phoenix, and it takes place in 1991. The fact that it takes place in 1991 makes a lot of sense because, First Class took place in the 60s, then Days of Future Past in the 70s, Apocalypse in the 80s, so now Dark Phoenix in the 90s. And I don't think Simon Kinberg has actually ever directed anything before, so I'm really excited to see what he brings to the new Fox X-Men universe with a younger cast. All the cast from X-Men Apocalypse are set to return, and by all, I literally mean all, so it's not just McAvoy and Fassbender, but you've got Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, you've got Jennifer Lawrence coming back, you've got Nicholas Hoult and Ty Sheridan as well, both coming back. Interestingly, the casting announcement didn't mention anything about Evan Peters, who usually plays Quicksilver, but every time he's in an X-Men movie, he has that one scene which kind of steals the film almost for a lot of people, so I really hope he comes back. Moving on, Tom Holland has kind of confirmed that there will be a new SpiderMan Trilogy with him as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. We know that Tom Holland is contracted for 3 MCU movie appearances and 3 solo Spider-Man films, but like we say all the time, just because an actor is contracted, in this case for 6 films, doesn't mean that he will necessarily be in 6 films. All that means is that, like I said, in this case, if Marvel or Sony wants him to come back, then he has to come back, but they don't have to use up all the films if they don't want to. So far, Marvel and Sony's deal only goes up to and includes the second Spider-Man solo film, so we're not really sure if they're going to work together after that, but having Spider-Man in the MCU and having Marvel and Sony collaborate on this project is beneficial for both Marvel and Sony, so I'm pretty sure there will be some re-upping of some contracts in a couple years. Also in the news this week, James Gunn is considering breaking the canon for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. One of the great things about the Guardians of the Galaxy is the fact that they're separate. So yeah, they're in the MCU, but their stories are separate. They don't have to tie in with anything else in the MCU, so James Gunn has a lot of freedom over what he can do with the characters. But in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, when the Guardians were getting their mugshots taken by the Nova Corps, you can see a bunch of information about each character, such as, like their species and who they worked with in the past and where they're from. And while Gunn didn't give any specifics, he said that it was one of those details that he was going to change. If it was something big, such as Thanos not actually killing Drax's family, then yeah, we'd have a bit of a problem with that, but if it's not affected the Guardians story up till this point, and if it's not that big, then if it gives us a better story in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, then you go for it, James Gunn. More generally, in cinema, we got a new update on that Jungle Book movie with Andy Serkis. So remember that awesome Jungle Book movie that came out last year that everyone loved? Well, apparently Andy Serkis is doing his own motion capture version with completely new people, and it's not related to that movie at all. Andy Serkis' version was meant to come out this year, but I think it was pushed back to 2018. I think when the one came out last year, a lot of people were like, I don't think you can do a Jungle Book movie better than that, but Andy Serkis is indeed moving ahead with this project. They're in pre-production, or they're in production right now, and it's meant to be coming out next year. It's meant to be darker, and it's all motion capture. It's got a great cast. It's got Cate Blanchett and Christian Bale and Benedict Cumberbatch, so that will be really interesting. We also got a new trailer for the movie Flatliners starring Ellen Page. Basically, a bunch of students, I think, want to see what happens after you die, so they actually kill themselves, stay dead for a few minutes, and then are brought back to life, and then they kind of report on their experience. But they keep doing it and they stay dead for longer, and then they start to go crazy, and then a bunch of paranormal activity stuff starts to happen. Trailer looks really interesting, looks really great, so I'm excited to see that hits theaters on September 28th, 2017. In terms of television, there's not much news. We got that thing last week about there being new seasons of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage meant to be hitting Netflix in 2018, and that's not really surprising because they've been doing one season every year, and then this year they were doing Defenders, so I think the new seasons will hit sometime in the second half of 2018. Guys, like I said, a lot of news has been covered today. Hopefully this video is less than 5 minutes. But that will do it for us this week on TDN Weekly. What do you guys think about some of the topics that we talked about? Make sure you let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you check out thedropnews.com, where we post a bunch of articles every day on cinema and comics and TV and gaming. If you guys want to follow me on social media like my YouTube and Instagram and Twitter, all the links will be down in the description below. Hit subscribe and we'll see you guys next week.